The day my life was ruined. We were eating salad. She had made it. And at first I remember sitting down and having a slightly uneasy feeling. Perhaps it was because the bitch was about to ruin my life, but because I did not have the gift of foresight, I blamed the sick feeling in the pit of my stomach on that questionable salad that was sitting in front of me. At the beginning, we practically sat on each other's laps. In fancy restaurants or a classy cafe along the strip, we'd frequent these kinds of places. Not because we were particularly fond of fine dining, but because these were the kinds of places new couples went. We would go, we would talk, we would eat 3 courses, simply to prolong the overall event. Eventually, these dates grew less frequent, and we'd begin to eat in more. It started innocently. She'd invite me over to her place and cook for me, and I would invite her over to mine to return the favor. We'd still sit close together, usually on the sofa, while we shared a pizza and the smell of burnt food lingered from the kitchen. At one point or another, we both learned how to cook an entire meal, and because of this, we became slightly more domesticated, and sat further apart still.
I'm unhappy. I think I have been for some time now.
Had I been so ignorantly blind? Had she been so unhappy and I failed to notice? It must have been one of those women things, where she was internally unhappy, but was pretending to be happy all along.
Tomorrow, I'll be driving to the airport and flying to Edmonton to stay with my mother. I'll be taking my clothes, my credit card, and a few keepsakes. I want you to keep the rest of our stuff here with you. Give me 2 weeks. If I don't call you, don't call.
Two weeks came and went rather quickly. Of course, she didn't call. We both knew she never intended to. 2 weeks to get used to being alone before I had to actually accept that I was going to be alone. She'd in a sense done me a favor. Instead of getting caught up in the realization that she'd left me, I could blissfully pretend she'd just gone away for a few days to think things over. After a month, I didn't feel so guilty about boxing up the things that had been hers and sticking them out onto the curb for the garbage collection. She wasn't coming back. It probably sounds pretty cold-hearted when I tell it now. It occurred to me years later that maybe when she said don't call, she was using one of those mind tricks and was saying, please do. Perhaps when she flew off, maybe I was meant to follow her and beg her not to go in some defiant act of sentiment. She never said I was the reason for her unhappiness, and maybe if I just thought enough to ask why she was so unhappy, perhaps my life wouldn't have been ruined that day.
I have an audition and a job interview in Edmonton on Wednesday now.
Okay, so the job interview is brand new.
Yeah, I am. Okay, here, please.